Hello everybody and welcome back to game number 2 between LGD and EHOME China. Game number 1 going the way of EHOME. A little bit one-sided, Solid Naga not really stepping up to the mark and bringing them back in, but early game went all the way to EHOME. Let's head over to the draft of game number 2, see what we're dealing with, and welcome in Scant, my co-commentator once again.
Hey, yeah, so with the Chinese scene kicking off all at once, all of the different events at the same time, we actually see a lot of the same matchups. I don't know if you know, yesterday LGD and EHOME played each other for Star Ladder, and that's best of 3, and what actually happened there was EHOME did take game 1 and then lost game 2 and 3.
Okay.
So, of course, this is a best of 2 series, but I wonder if LGD could bounce back again.
Well, let's see what they do. They picked up Storm Spirit and AA, so kind of similar to what EHOME had last game. They've got that hero that can jump in and lock someone down. They had Bat Rider, now LGD have the Storm Spirit, but the Ice Blast over the top from long range. That's the clincher. Because that can open up the map to kills anywhere, in the enemy jungle, behind towers, midway down the lane, or even in the base. Whereas EHOME go for their 2 supports very early on. Lion and Vengeful Spirit.
Well, I'm just glad to see LGD mixing it up. After going for that Naga strategy, it doesn't work. You'd expect people, especially like maybe, will want to be saying, we want to actually have a draft where we can do things. It's not nice to have a plan which is we'll farm and go late game and then get pretty destroyed and then do it again. So not really that surprising to me that they already show signs of wanting to be aggressive and take the front foot in some of these fights.
EHOME banning out the Silencer against Storm and AA. Like, if anything, I would have thought that was maybe a hero they pick up themselves as a core, but I guess in the Chinese scene it's more seen as, a support hero, the Silencer. So with their 2 supports picked up, Venge and Lion, they don't want LGD to have that potentially and just give Storm a free run through teamfights, because with that global silence, it means you can't hex, you can't stun, you can't lock down the Storm, and he's just zipping around killing everybody.
Yep, so I wonder in this kind of draft, I was about to say, I wonder what LGD take for Sylar, because yesterday the games where they won, he played Anti-Mage and Lycan. Well, there you go, there's the Lycan. So it's definitely going to be a Sylar Lycan, I think, and maybe Storm Spirits. So still looking for the offlaner there for Yao. And I suppose a support for either one of the 2 supporters, depending on if they run that AA in the 4 or 5 position, where it can actually do both, I think.
Yeah, Lycan fits into this weird little role where quite often we see him in like basically a 4 protect 1 strat, where you have 4 heroes going and making action happen on the opposite side of the map, and then Lycan's pushing into tier 1, tier 2 towers on the opposite lane. Then he also can fit into that role where he's a brawling hero, he's good at taking objectives, fighting into Roshan, even solo pickoffs with his ultimate. He isn't really locked down into, okay, this is what we have to do. He is quite a dynamic hero in that sense. And then with the Howl and Chilling Touch, my god, that level 1 is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, something interesting, I'm just looking at the end of game screen from where he played Lycan yesterday, and it looks like he didn't buy Necros, unless he like sold them at the end or something. It looks like this was the Lycan that went Treads, Vlads, BKB, Basher, and AC. So I wonder if that's what's popular at the moment for him, or if it just depended on how the game unfolded. Probably the latter. More likely that it depends on the situation, what he's going to pick up.
Yeah, probably something along the lines of, okay, I can't split push here, and also my team's getting a little bit demolished in these fights, I need to go and help out. So that sounds like the brawling build. Going for the Basher and AC along with the BKB. You quite often see BKB on the split pushing Lycan just to allow him to pop it, get into shapeshift and maybe TP away, or just run back into his own jungle, find his family of wolves, and start farming again. But LGD...
something interesting that LGD did run in the Lycan strat yesterday was an offlane Phoenix. We don't actually have a really good support at zoning out of Phoenix on EHOME. Vengeful Spirit with short range land with not the highest damage, and I think a Phoenix could do well here as well.
Yeah, they could. Like, Lion has Hex and Stun, but you're right. At level 1, the Phoenix could do decently trading off hits. Because you don't really expect the Venge and Lion, to be constantly there on lane, saying, Phoenix, hello, we're still here. Time to leave the lane. LGD going back for the Shadow Shaman, a hero that we don't see in the West at all, really.
But even if they're there, right, they'd have to try kill Phoenix, because Phoenix with the spirits that slow your attack speed, you really need to be like Skyath Mage, Silencer are the only 2 supports that I think can definitely zone out of Phoenix. So in terms of zoning, Vengeance Line would really struggle, I think. But yeah, you're right. Maybe they could threaten to kill it if they do pick it up.
LGD Shadow Shaman, now it's a hero similar to Lion, but it's just not seeing as much play. And I feel this is down to, you know, one of it, he has two disables, he's got a nuke, and he's got pushing power. But he's not self-sustaining, he can't go Tranquil Boots and, you know, run around draining mana and sucking creeps for that sustain. So he does have to go back to the fountain, he has to buy regen items, he has to buy arcane boots, maybe, you know, even a bottle for himself. But we'll see what he does, but also the fact that Shackles. With Lion, you've got Earthspike, Hex. They've got great cast times, they have pretty long duration and decent cooldowns, but it doesn't disable the Lion. Shadow Shaman has to stand there, shackling someone and waiting for, like, you know, the Rapture to come. But he does have the Serpent Wards to help push down towers as well, which kind of balances it out.
Jait actually played Shadow Shaman yesterday in the game that they lost, the first game, and he fed a lot. He was like 1 or 0 for 13, 14, something like that. So hopefully he's going to have a different game here, because there's a lot of heroes on EHOME that could enjoy hunting a Shadow Shaman at this point.
Yeah, and it's a hero with quite a difficult role to play. Because with Lion, Vengeful Spirit, you don't really care if you die too much. I think Lion is the only support that, well, one of the few supports that thinks, okay, I've got to stop dying now because I need my Blink Dagger. Vengeful Spirit can, you know, even with death, she makes an impact on the game with that Vengeance Aura. She doesn't really need big items to make herself an impact.
So EHOME will pick up that Queen of Pain again. So that went really well for them in the previous game, so why not run it again, I guess?
Yeah, why not indeed. Now EHOME looking, what, for a ZYF item? Hero.
And it'll be the Yell Bristleback, not the Phoenix. I really like this Bristleback pick. I mean, right now, if you look at EHOME's lineup, if Bristleback gets a few items, they pretty much can't kill him.
Yeah.
The Hex works quite well. I think the way the Hex works against the Bristleback is that it stops the automatic quills, but it doesn't take away the actual reduction. So
it still blocks damage, but it doesn't spam out the annoying damage himself. They do have mana drain though. That's a decent ability up against Bristle early on. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Are they gonna go double Orchid here?
They might just. I mean, it's pretty good against Storm Spirits. Storm Spirit could get very victimized if Queen of Pain and Plinks get fast Orchids. Never mind a fast Blink on Lion. Plink's a hero that I haven't seen much at all in this patch. Similar to the Lifestealer, actually. Yeah, I said Lifestealer last game had been picked twice since February, so in the last 2 months. And Plinks has been picked 6 times since then, so another hero that's, you know, as soon as the Chinese scene kicks off, it's been, what, a few days of Chinese Dota, and we're already seeing completely different heroes coming out, and it's very interesting to watch. Lifestealer definitely doing really, really well last game, that being a pretty strong argument for why Lifestealer maybe could be in the meta. And we'll see what they do with the Clinks.
How does EHOME deal with a split push? Is my main question. You know, they've got Serpent Wards, Sylar and the Lycan, Bristleback, that tanky-ass hero on the front lines. Sure, Clinks gives you a bunch of physical damage, but how do you defend your towers? Like, Hookshot and Queen of Pain nukes people down?
I mean, are you talking about push or split push? Because I feel like they could deal with the split push. I mean, if Queen of Pain and Clock, or Clinks and Clock, or whatever, 2 heroes combine, if there's one hero split pushing, they probably handle it. I think they have a bigger problem with a 5-man push. Yeah. I think if Sylar and Dial both get a couple of core items, there's going to be 2 very strong heroes which are extremely difficult for EHOME to kill.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the Death Ball here. You know, you throw down Serpent, you go straight into the tier 1, you've got the Lycan Wolves, Bristleback, and then you go for the tier 2 with the Serpent Wards. How does EHOME counteract this? Do they actually split push themselves? Because I agree. If they're dealing with, you know, Lycan on one lane, Storm on another, and then another couple of heroes floating around somewhere, they can go for the picks. They can find the Lycan, they can kill the Storm with the heroes that they've got mobility, they've got lots of nuke damage. But if LGD pick up BKBs early on, Storm, Bristleback, Lycan, all quite likely to go BKBs, you know, 25 minutes into this game, then EHOME's potential to find those pickoffs gets diminished.
Yep. But, I mean, we saw last game EHOME just ignoring LGD's game plan, saying we're going to dominate you from the start of the game and you're never going to get to execute what you want to do, and maybe that's their plan. They just are ahead constantly and constantly making kills. That could work for them. And look at Jait. What Shadow Shaman set is this? He's dressed up like a bird.
That's one of the new... That's not a D2CL one. It's one of the new ones where even his ultimate has these, like, crows or hawks. Yeah, crows. It's some kind of crow set. I'm not too sure. Yeah, they're no longer serpent wards. With this set, they become bird wards or something.
That's interesting. I wondered if he hexes people, do they still turn into chickens? Because those are like kinds of birds. Like, surely if you're like a bird, you don't want to make your enemies into birds. That's a bit offensive.
I'm pretty sure he still turns it into a chicken. That was one of the first things that I learnt about Dota 2 was that Scythe of Ice turns people into a pig, Lion's Hex turns you into a frog, and or a fish now with the Immortal. Yep, you can turn him into a fish. I got corrected about this the other day. And then Rasta turns you into a sheep or a ram.
I guess crows don't see themselves as related to chickens. They're like, we're just like way more important birds.
They are the higher being. So last hit wise, 4-for-1 on the Lycan up on this top lane. Sylar doing very well for himself. Storm as well at mid. Queen of Pain, you know, does decently on this lane once she gets levels, but I think the first couple of creep waves go to maybe. The fact that he just puts down Remnants, controls creep equilibrium to where he wants it, and takes all the last hits. And
in the bot lane, I spoke about how the Radiant lineup would struggle to zone out a Phoenix. Well, it's pretty hard to zone out a Bristleback as well. You really need the right kind of heroes, and these are not them. So they might go for a kill attempt at some points, but right now it takes both. Yeah, they're going for that kill attempt.
Well, Klinks is pretty far away. They're going to get the damage down. The physical damage from those searing arrows probably going to be enough here. The body blocks from Lanham, yeah, just about.
Yeah.
That got close, though.
Required a lot of body blocking, and Lanham's played very, very well in both of these games so far. He was instrumental in that Earthshaker last game, or mid lane.
This is where it turns around. I was saying the early levels maybe go to the Storm Spirit, but Queen of Pain, once she gets level 2 in Shadow Strike, that's when she starts to put the pressure on that Storm. She doesn't have Blink though for another 2 seconds. She's going to run the correct direction away from Zhao Wei.
And Yao just TP'd mid after dying bots, and he's still going to have to go back bots, right? It's not like Storm Spirit's going to go there. Both supports ran towards mid, the offlane had TP'd there, and just really inefficient movements in general. And EHOME starting just like they started last game, showing that their game's a lot sharper right now.
Yeah, definitely early on. They've got these lanes under control. They're taking the runes. Who actually got top rune? Clockwork with the bounty. And mid lane, Queen of Pain just trying to bring it back last hits wise. Maybe still in the lead by a couple, but they're catching up. Klinks with 8 and 4 because he went for that kill on the Bristleback. Missed out on about a wave of last hits down here. So ZYF has to try and bring himself back in. Is this an Orchid Rush game? It is my main question. Because Klinks, you know, he's a hero that we haven't seen in a long time. I don't know if you go back to the tried and tested. Some people have gone, you know, Midas Klinks, messed around with a couple of builds here and there. It looks like he's going straight into the Orchid though with that Sage's Mask.
We do also sometimes see the Soul Ring, but yeah, I want to say it's an Orchid game. There's so many good reasons about Orchid. Is he? No, actually he just bought the Soul Ring recipe, so he is going to go for the Soul Ring. And the question I wanted to ask is, why does he have his Ring of Basilius active? Does he know that... Is Bristleback just not coming back? Is that the plan? Because Storm Spirit's jungling and Bristleback's laning mid, or... What's happening here? Yeah, he's definitely forcing a put... No, now he's turned his Ring of Basilius off.
That's odd, because I was going to make the point that he knows Bristleback's not there, and he has a catapult wave. So it makes perfect sense to be pushing into this tower. Level 2 searing arrows, he can just rip through the HP of it. Yeah, we're stacking up Ancients. He's going to get another stack here, so there'll be 3 camps all built up from there, gold-wise. But I'm not sure. Maybe that was just a mistake from the Klinks. Because you definitely don't want the lane to be right here where it is, unless you're pushing
back on. You just turn it back on.
That's interesting. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is, but he's definitely got a decent push going into this tier 1 tower. Up at top, Clockwork. Not going to get caught out there by the Shadow Shaman and AA, but we've also got Queen of Pain heading towards mid with DDC, leeching a bit of experience.
Yeah, and I wonder if they'll just consider diving for this kill, because Storm Spirit's still level 5, doesn't have that ulti. And yeah, around the back, here comes Lanham, and Storm's gonna die.
Yeah, start off with a Hex, stun him up, lock him down. That's another easy kill for Inflame, it looks like, actually. DDC getting the last hit in there. He's got brown boots.
The really big deal there is that Queen of Pain didn't have to use her ulti, which means Storm's gonna come back to the lane and could just die again for a 3rd time.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Like, I guess the fact that Queen of Pain has gone for 2-1-2-1 means without level 3 Scream, it's not going to be that easy. You know, if she can hit level 7 here before the Storm returns, then yeah, she goes straight in for that kill. Otherwise, she does need to do a little bit of harass first to pick him off. Clockwork has returned to base to heal himself up because this top lane is getting a little bit painful.
Well, clearly maybe doesn't think that he's safe in that lane because he respawned, didn't TP mid, he ran to the jungle. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
So he's not going back to the lane until he's level 6. He's just like, he's over it.
Well, he doesn't have boots, but up on top, Zhao gets the shackles down on RTK. The Wolf's going to do a fair amount of damage, and there's no cogs available. With a chilling touch and Ether Shock, yeah. That's a nice little kill. MMY, chilling touch level 1. He's only level 3. So the supports on the Dire, you know, they've given a little more levels to the Rasta. But they've been pulling a lot. They've been controlling this lane. Sliler nearly has his Vlads. When does their push come in?
I mean, if not before, then at very least when Shadow Shaman gets his level 6, they'll start getting tier 1s. Because right now their biggest concern is the Storm Spirits. He's gotten quite a lot of last hits, but he's struggling to be in his lane. And what does that mean? I mean, sure, you can get farm in the jungle, but what are they doing in the mid lane? Queen of Pain just gets a free lane against nothing. That's not a hero you want to give a free lane against nothing. So Yao's actually moved back here. That's what he's been doing so far this game. He's kind of like taking some mid lane, some off lane, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Very dynamic movements, but again, that gives the Clinks complete free reign. I suppose the Clinks gets free reign even if the Bristleback spots. Bristleback can't really control the Clinks at all.
Looks like ZYF isn't going for the rush of anything. Going for the small incremental item builds. Soul Ring, Aquila, and I'm going to assume Treads. With a band of Elven Skin and brown boots. So he's going to pick up Gloves of Haste pretty soon when he's got enough gold for it. Yeah. While in mid lane, how are we looking for Inflame? She hasn't. I guess it's only. It feels like it's a lot later in the game than it is. You know, 7 minutes in, 43 last hits on the Lycan, 40 on the Clinks, and the Queen of Pain with 35. Even though they've got a couple of kills under their belt, there's not that real big item progression. So often now we see, especially core players, just go for the small stat items first. You know, you buy Null and heroes at mid to give you that right-clicking advantage early on. But even safe lane heroes, Ring of Aquila, going for treads, just padding out your stats so you're not susceptible to gangs. But also you can, you know, tank up creep waves, control equilibrium with other moves than just right clicks.
I'm really interested in the fact that the Storm Spirit died twice, then left his lane, and he's just been in the jungle, and he's a bit behind on net worth, but he's not that far behind. He actually is getting his levels, he's getting some gold, and a pretty good decision, I think, because Yao's items are going to matter a lot more than his. Storm Spirit, they just want to stop feeding, and I just hope that Yao doesn't lose his ancient stack for his own sake. Can anything steal it from him? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think it's very big.
I don't think there's anyone that can steal it. Oh, but top lane RTK can get dropped here. Maybe finds a kill. So he's got something to his name now. He's 1 and 2. He's got brown boots at the very least. You know, he was struggling to get boots earlier on.
I mean, how often would we see the Storm Spirits in this lane die twice and then just feed all game and never get to become useful or do anything? So again, I just want to commend maybe for finding value in the jungle and finding a kill now. He's doing a good job to recover.
Definitely. Yao, has he gone for a bottle? Yep. Go for that value bottle so you can maybe try and control bot rune, keep yourself going, because spamming out cool sprays is a necessity against this Clinks. You are continually going to be taking this physical harassment steering arrows over and over again. Oh man, MMY, yeah, I think you're dead. A couple of right clicks, the last steering arrow flying, but not even needed. Hitting the dead corpse as the icy man hits the ground and shatters to a million pieces.
Yeah, and just like in the first series, MMY continues to have a difficult time staying alive, and his old teammates on the other side land him just having a really great game, just like he did last game.
Yeah.
I wonder, when are we going to see these level 6s on supports? Because, well, Shadow Shaman's had his for a while, but Lion's got a pretty important one, AA's got a pretty important one, even Venge, mostly defensively, has a quite irrelevant level 6.
Well, Shadow Shaman has Serpent Wards, has already used them. AA is still level 4.5 though. That one kill down at bot lane isn't really helping things out. Maybe he, you know, goes and takes or helps out. I don't know, leeches experience from the engine stacks. I'm trying to make it sound like, you know, he's actually going to help the Bristle do it. ZYF though, can he find a kill here? It's a little bit risky now. Storm zips in. They do have a sentry up on high ground, so they can see him for now. But he manages to.
And if he had overcommitted a little bit further, then the Storm probably would have killed him there.
Yeah.
But sensing that it wasn't the safest move, and Clinks was only moving a bit forward at a time, Just intelligent movement there.
Clockwork drops up a top lane. Xiao 8 and Salan once again pairing up with the Howl and Wolves. Shackling off the Clockwork so he can't do anything back to them and finding a kill.
They can threaten the tier 2 here. I mean, Shadow Shaman's about to have his ulti up. If nobody gets here soon, I think the Shadow Shaman and Lycan might go for the tier 2.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're also looking at Xiao 8 getting a very early blink. 10 minutes in, he's got Arcanes and 1600 gold. I was actually worried about him not finding the farmer levels he needed, but they've prioritized this Rasta so damn much. You kind of expect AA to, you know, get Midas, get some levels, get level 6 early on, because in the European scene, that's what AA is. He is the greedy support. But here, the AA is the 5. They don't really care too much if he gets his levels. As long as he hits level 6 at some point before 20 minutes, they're going to be relatively happy.
Yeah, and I think they'll remember as well that yesterday when they played EHOME, Xiao 8's Shadow Shaman really struggled. It was a really long game and he eventually got his Blink Dagger and his Aghanims, but yeah, he died like 13 or 14 times. And
DDC bot lane, caught out by Maybe. It should be a pretty easy kill here. The response is a little bit too slow. He's trying to get the stun. Inflame comes back in with a Shadow Strike Maybe. A little bit low on mana. Hex, Impale. Do they have the Finger of Death? They don't even need it.
yeah, at the same time ZYF rotated to the top lane and with the help of a Clockwork shot, they actually took down the Lycanthrope.
Are you lagging by any chance?
I'm not lagging, no. Are you
Please.
lagging?
Yep. I'm not getting the Uncrobest updates in purple text this time though. I think it's just a server. Looks like it's evened itself out now, so not too much of an issue. Yao has managed to take these ancient stacks. Xiao 8. Oh. He isn't going Blink. So he saved up about 1800 gold. 1 staff of wizardry, I'm assuming 4 staff then. Okay, he's against Clockwork. That makes perfect sense. Against Clock, you know, the Blink isn't going to be that useful. With 4 staff, you can get yourself out of cogs. You can close the gap on heroes like Queen of Pain. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and you can get someone else out of cog as well. So if you have an early 4 staff, it makes the Clockwork a lot less scary as a threat. And ZYF scouting out here.
He sees them. Sylar. They've got the vision. They're going to stun first. Yep, Wave of Terror. Oh, man. That physical damage just rips him apart. Queen of Pain has to get another right click in. Does bring him down in the end. Xiao 8 drops the Serpent Wards, though. Shackling up their clinks. So 2 down already for EHOME, and it looks like it's going to be cleanup crew here. Maybe. Right-clicking away. MMY has already cast his ultimate, though. 2 for 2, and that's worth it for LGD. Like, losing the Lycan and the Rasta there. I feel like killing the Clinks to stop his, or to slow his Orchid is definitely worth it.
At the same time, the Lycan being dead, it's going to take longer for his team to get rushed. It's going to take longer for them to go for towers, and yeah, Clinks' Orchid is important, but I feel like EHOME in both of these games, their game plan is a lot about stopping LGD from ever being able to execute their game plan. And I think so far they've done that, but Yao's Bristleback is going to be instrumental in whether or not they can continue to do that, because he's getting pretty close to a mech on that Bristleback. And we spoke about during the draft how Lycan and Bristleback would be difficult to deal with, never mind if there's a mech involved. And so one has to wonder how soon we're going to see LGD grouping up and forcing out towers. In fact, is it right now? It looks like it might be right now.
Yeah, the grouping is 5. Sylar is in the Ancient Pit. He's got Vlad's and 1,000 gold. Xiao 8. 4 staff already done. His net worth is pretty up there. He's above the Clockwork. Clock is running around with what? Tranquil Boots, Nearly Blade Mail, Ice Blast. Just about his DDC. Great Vortex there from Maybe. They'll find a kill on a support. The global...
Maybe's got low mana now, but I don't think Inflame can chase. There's too many people here.
It looks like they're perfectly fine. Sylar actually not joining the push down on bot. He's just looping around through the jungle, trying to find a little bit more farm. RTK is doing the same thing in mid.
Oh, Lanham's level 6.
Oh, MMY. See ya, buddy. And even a sentry drop to deward that. Is it? Yeah, it's in range of their observer. Inflame going to pick up the Invis rune, but they know exactly what he's got and probably know where he's going to be heading.
Yeah, so LGD did group up there, but didn't actually end up going for the tower. As I thought, I think they'll wait for Bristleback to finish his mechanism. And I think once they've got that, that might be the period where they want to get at least these 2 tier 1s, if not some tier 2s.
ZYF nearly finished that Orchid. He doesn't have it on the courier, does he? No. So 500 gold away from the recipe, and that's what, 15.5 minutes in, 16 minutes or so with that Orchid. He knows with certainty that maybe on this Storm Spirit is going to be an easy target. No BKB, no Lincolns. There is nothing he could possibly have. now or in the next, what, 8 minutes or so that could possibly stop this Orchid from ripping him apart.
And again, we're seeing the Storm Spirit not actually rushing the Orchid anyway. I mean, sure, he had a difficult start, but it seems like he's made the decision anyway to go for that Bloodstone. We saw it yesterday, I think, in another Chinese series in the pre-qualifier. So it might just be that that's the flavor in China at the moment, that you go for the Bloodstone. Or it could be, in this game, it could be to do with the fact that he had a rough start, because I feel like Orchid is much worse if you don't get it really fast.
Inflame blinking to low ground, expecting Zard to continue their Vortex and Ice Blast, but a good swap from DDC. Takes Inflame out of danger, maybe keeps zipping forward. There's no mana left on Lamb, but there's enough damage from ZYF. AA gets a kill on the Vengeful Spirit, but they lose their Storm once again. Inflame actually went for the Aghanims. I noticed this a while back. And not the double Orchid that I was expecting.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're deciding one Orchid's enough. It probably is. They've got the Lion who will get Blink soon. He'll have a Hex. They've got the Clockwork to hook. So lots of ways to actually lock down enemies. And Yao's mechanism is complete now. So we're going to have to watch out for that. What it does in the next conflict, or if they start a push on the basis of it.
ZYF is on the hunt. He's got the Orchid done. Who is his first target? Sentry. Yeah, they find it. The instant Hex. He's going to turn back around to try and find a kill. This long-range Shackle being cancelled out there by Zhao. He knows the Clockwork was en route, so he just backs himself up. But that Hex was so freaking quick. The instant he saw that Clinks, bam! Hexed up. Where are you going? What are you doing? This is our lane.
So the question is, do LGD, we see the Rocket to Scout Rush. I'm wondering, do they prioritize getting the Rush first, or one of these tier 1s? Because that's got to be what they're looking to do. There's no reason to group up this match, unless they're going for one of the objectives.
Well, the other question is, what does EHOME do to react? Like, do they try and go in and stop them doing Roche? Because A, it's going to be quick, and B, with the Serpent Wars more likely than not being dropped, you know, it's difficult to get in there and actually take a team fight. And
I just clicked on them. They actually are still called Serpent Wards, but you look at them, they're birds.
Yeah. Yeah, they're crows.
They should be called Bird Wards. Crow Wards.
So down mid lane, looks like Inflame saving up a little bit of gold. BKB for him, a possibility. You know, the Hex and the Vortex are definitely potent abilities up against this Queen of Pain. Or does he go for a Linken's?
ZYF just soloing down that tower at the top lane. I'm not so sure. Whenever we have this debate, I'm the one saying no to Linken's. I guess I'll just stick to that for now.
It's always on Co-op and Invoker as well. Co-op and Invoker, they sort of save up money, buy an Ultimate Orb. Nah, it's not going to be a Linken's, it'll be a Hex, it'll be you know, something else, a Skadi maybe. We'll see what, like, it's difficult to call. I don't think there's one item that's, you know, incredibly better than the other. After the Aghanims, the world is your oyster. You've got the farming tool, you've got the team fight ability with the 40-second cooldown on that Sonic Wave, so you could go BKB, Lincoln Sphere, go for a Hex. You could potentially go back into an Orchid right now. It's 18 minutes into the game, really. You can do whatever the hell you want as Inflame on this quad, but we're going to see LGD grouping up and smoking back into their jungle.
Lion has a Blink Dagger. I don't think LGD have seen this. Well, now
RT is going to get jumped and instantly taken out of the game. Ice Blast is thrown, so they don't have that for the team fight proper, but ZYF is already backing up. Do they have Dust? They've got no reveal. Oh, man! Maybe dropping to about 50 HP after the Sonic Wave scream. Unfortunately, Lamb wasn't ready with the Impale. Spike just a little bit too slow there. His turning speed let him down.
Yeah, I think they made a call to run away. And Queen of Pain just sensed of her own accord, like maybe there's an opportunity here. But it's difficult to react to that in such a short space of time. But ZYF is actually going to go back into enemy jungle and see if he can find a pickle. They
know he's there. The sentry spotted him out. The sentry, he walked through this area. Bristleback was standing here. They 100% saw him. So look at how they're all grouping up. They're walking around next to the sentry wall. There's another one on Zhao 8, so they'll probably place it, I don't know, somewhere like here. Oh, the jump. A Lamb showing off his blink. Hex and Impels. Zhao 8 gonna go full? Yep, probably will. Until Quop. Okay, they prioritize the Storm. That makes sense. Leave Zhao 8 to live. Take down Aegis Immortal on maybe. I thought Shadow Shaman was dead to rights there. But killing off that Storm, infinitely more important.
Yeah, and you were talking about how they knew that Clinks was there. I think Clinks' team knew that they knew he was there. And they all waited around, just almost expecting the initiation on the Klings.
Yeah, they probably expected, at the very least, they expected LGD to clump up to try and, you know, counteract the Klinks' solo pick-off potential. And that's where Queen of Pain kicks in with the AoE Sonic Wave, Scream of Pain, and they find a couple of decent pick-offs. Well, they find one decent pick-off.
And just like last game, we see the 2 cores on EHOME just ahead on net worth of Sylar, which is never where he wants to be. He usually, no matter what he's playing and what he's doing, he wants to be the richest person on the map, so that he's got that dominant presence, so that he can play confidently. And they're gonna go on him right now.
Yep, double ulti, Finger of Death, almost cast by Lamb then. He lifted up his finger, pointed at Lycan and said, "Hey buddy, I'm gonna execute you right now," but he put the gun down and let the rest of his team finish off that Lycan. But 2 ultis thrown out.
He bought his Necro level 2 recipe right before he died, so at least he didn't lose much gold.
Maybe he's been split pushing this bot lane on the courier. He hasn't got too much. 1700 gold. How far away is he? Still about 2,500 from that Bloodstone. It's a long old journey for maybe on this Storm. But once he gets that, you know, maybe it opens up the fights a little bit more. Things aren't as difficult. I'm not going to say they get easier. I'm just going to say it's not as difficult anymore. Then after that, probably a BKB for him. The Orchid, the Hex, all these stuns and disables, you need some kind of immunity to try and break through.
Yep. EHOME showing again in this game too that they're quite willing to stop LGD from ever getting to a stage where their plan makes sense. And I just saw...
Yes, you did.
ZYF bought a Diffusal Blade.
Yep, correct. It's on the courier. It's on its way there. That's why I'm sort of going, what?
Well,
but since Diffusal is no longer a unique attack modifier and Searing Arrows also pretty much the same, you can stack up things like Desolator, Skadi, Diffusal Blade. Why the hell not?
Well, I feel like the reason for that is to preempt Ghost Scepters, because that's what people usually buy to survive Klings. But also, there's this sort of clutch usage of Diffusal Blade we don't see very often, but you can unhex someone. So if the Shadow Shaman hexes someone and Klinks is nearby, he can just take that hex off.
Yeah, there's also dust. Like, if he gets dusted up, you can purge off that dust. There's plenty of uses outside of, oh look, there's a target, let's slow him. You know, Diffusal Blade is this really dynamic item that can bring so much to a team fight.
Still an interesting pickup, not one that you see a lot on a Klinks, especially if there isn't already a Ghost Scepter somewhere on the enemy team. I wonder if they seize Diffusal Blade, does no one buy Ghost Scepter now? Is that like no longer the plan to deal with Klinks?
I don't know. I guess there's also the factor that there's Finger of Death, Sonic Wave, you know, there's lots of magical damage being flung around. So if you do go for Ghost Scepter and don't manage to survive through Klinks, you're still going to get burst down by the AoE from the rest of EHOME. So LGD, their itemization has to be spot on.
Yeah, and who could actually buy Ghost Scepter anyway? I was looking at Shao8, but it looks like he'll save for that dagger in addition to the 4-staff, and since MMY bought that Midas on AA, he's definitely going to be rushing that Axe next.
Yeah, so net worth wise, 12,300 up on the Klinks, 11,500 on the Queen of Pain. Whereas LGD, you know, they've got 3 or 4 heroes in the next set of net worth people, but they're a little bit far behind. And my phrasing there was awful.
Yeah, it's okay. I think everyone understands what you're trying to say, and
people have money and some other people don't have so much money. That's pretty much what I was trying to say. RGK throws out a pretty loony hook, looking for someone hiding in the trees down there. And Inflame going for maybe. Not going to find the kill, but over in the Raging Jungle, what do we see over here? Ice Blast going to hit Lamb. The Sonic Wave actually thrown down onto the back of Yao, but he doesn't really care. It tickles him a little bit. DDC now going to get picked off. LGD taking a great fight here.
Yeah, and all on the basis of so much being used on Bristleback, and Bristleback just not even coming close to dying.
Inflame losing all of his mana to these Necro units. Sylar gets silenced up, but he's going to TP out with no problem whatsoever. A couple of arrows flying across the map. Now that's kind of cool. They're going to fly high up into the sky. Hopefully I'm still following them. Come on, where are you? Arrows? Hello? Oh, I can see the shadows. Guys, I'm following. Yep, here we go. They're going to land. They're going to do nothing whatsoever.
Oh. So, yeah, as I was trying to suggest, I think the Bristleback's just going to be crucial in LGD's plan this game. because of the way the early game went, because EHOME started ahead, Bristleback is just so difficult for them to kill anyway, and any fight where they try and burst him down, it's going to be a bad fight for them, and Yao did very well to position there in a way that really encouraged EHOME to target him, got his mech off, and it didn't even look like he was coming close to dying, and I think Queen of Pain Sonic Wave only hits him.
Yeah, because Queen of Pain blinked in after chasing maybe into the Roche pit, and then was in a position where he can't really see the rest of LGD, or he can't target them. They're all, you know, in the trees, hiding around, and there's, yeah, like you said, positioned in such a way that his back was to Quap, his front was to the Lion, who was already getting ice blasted, so the Lion was backing up. It was a perfect fight for LGD. And then you just have the Concave just crush in and collapse, suddenly surrounding EHOME and taking kills left and right.
It's all good and well that Queen of Pain is rich, that she's richer than, say, Lycanthrope, but since she bought that Aghanim Scepter, it's so important that in a fight she uses her ulti appropriately. And I think that only ulting a Bristleback is basically never going to be that. You know, if she's going to hit the Bristleback, she's going to have to hit someone else with him. Well, because it's just not going to be good enough usage.
Maybe if you hit the Bristleback from the front and it's the killing blow and you finish it off, Hookshot going to miss completely there. Lamb jumps in, gets a Hex down onto Sala, but Yao is in there. BKB's up, takes down one. Who is next? As ROTK gets shredded by the Necro unit. Sala now shapeshifting up into his full final form. In flame, dropped by Maybe and Yao as they go for more. Hunting, the wolf pack is ready. They want to go and take some more.
Yeah, so a tricky thing actually in this patch, we've seen it a lot, teams that take early lead in lane stage actually often struggle to maintain that lead going into the mid game. And in the previous game, EHOME did a good job to keep their lead the entire game, but in this game it's just not happened. LGD have bounced back, and right now I'd say LGD are well ahead actually, and we're getting to that stage where both the Bristleback and the Lycanthrope are just extremely difficult for EHOME to handle. They can't kill these heroes. And Stormspread with his next item pickup, whatever it may be, if maybe a BKB or Hex or Orchid, he's going to become very difficult for them to deal with as well.
Dire's courier has been killed. ZYF, you cheeky little devil. Running around finding courier kills. There wasn't anything on it though. I'm not quite sure what that had just delivered. But yeah, like net worth is one thing. We quite often talk about this. You especially know that early on in the game, finding these kills, it's good and all, having magic damage and taking team fights with burst, but pretty much straight after the draft, I mentioned that BKB is on the Dire side. Once they start coming out, what does EHOME have? Physical damage from the Clinks, okay, but he went to Fusel Blade. He hasn't amplified that physical damage. Maybe he fights Sala here, Orchid and Diffusal Blade slowing him down. Sala probably going to drop to the Orchid burn, yeah. Okay. They find a solo pick-off, but LGD weren't ready.
Or there's an application of just the Diffusal Blade in the old-fashioned kind of way. Just straight up, slow the guy, kill him. But Queen of Pain ulti will go through BKB as well. So I think Storm Spirit, maybe, they could kill with just Klings hits and a Quap ulti. But Bristleback, Lycanthrope, those heroes are, it's difficult to see them dying if they're grouped up with their teammates. Sure, Klings killed Lycan there when he was isolated. But that's not going to happen when Lycan's whole team is there, I think.
Yeah, I think ZYF is going for a Hex next. So they know they need this additional lockdown to deal with the BKBs from LGD. Queen of Pain, what's up for you? Still 1,000 gold. Oh, jumps forward. But the force back from Jiawei. They even launched the Sonic. Okay, and Hookshot. Yeah. Throw down multiple ultimates onto that poor old Shadow Shaman. They've got no Serpent Wards. They've got no Hex. So a lot of LGD's initiation is now sitting in the fountain dead, waiting to respawn for 40 seconds.
Yeah, and just as our luck is when we discuss ultimate orb pickups, ZYF actually just picked up a second one, so it's not going to be a Hex or Linken's, it's going to be a Skadi.
Okay. Tanking up a little bit more, makes sense.
So think of the slow with Purge and Skadi. No one's running away from him.
So he's got Skadi, Diffusal, Searing Arrows. What else does he need? You know, Mjolnir, Desolator, Lifesteal, go for a Mask of Madness as well. It's going to fight MMY. 3 hits him down. Diffusal Blade even popped. No Ice Blast for the Ancient Apparition. But ZYF has to be a little bit wary now. RTK trying to block out the advance from LGD.
Yeah, so this is where LGD's strategy is going to be weak. If they allow positioning such that it's possible for their supports to be initiated on. I mean, they really want the Bristleback to be the one that's in front, or if not him, the Lycanthrope. If they're grouped up, it doesn't help if it's possible for EHOME to just quickly burst down either Zhao or MMY. And that's happened now twice in a row. Each support has taken a turn to just go down to EHOME.
It's EHOME getting their initiation right, though. If they allow Klinks to get into these situations where there's no sentries preemptively placed and he can scout out one of the supports, he can kill them, or they can get the Blink Hex and Finger of Death. They don't even need to expend that much. As long as you have someone like the Clockwork or Queen of Pain ready and waiting to counter-initiate, or the Vengeful Spirit to swap your aggressive player back out of the team fight, then, you know, there's more room for error, I feel, for EHOME's pick-off potential and team fight than there is for LGD. LGD has to really position themselves well, have preemptive sentry wards, and then they've got to then, you know, push out of the fight and take an objective. Whereas EHOME may be a little happier to find a pick-off, go back to farming, take map control.
I think EHOME have learned that Bristleback is not the guy they're going on. I don't know if you noticed when we were just talking now, the whole EHOME grouped up at the Dire Secret shop up here. But they only saw the Bristleback, and so they just retreated. You know, he looked alone, but they just know they can't start a fight on the Bristleback. That's like the number one way they'll lose a fight.
Yeah, forget this, guys. He's too damn tanky. He's sitting on almost 2,000 HP now. Mech, BKB, and Sanj. Is that... Oh, if he gets a Halberd, does he have it? No. A Halberd against Klinks with that BKB. That's going to be big.
Yeah, I wonder if you'll get that Halberd. I agree, actually, it would be a really nice pickup here, but so often we see the Bristleback getting the SNY that I'm tempted to think that he would just go for that standard build anyway. But I do agree, a Halberd could do a lot of work. It would force the Klinks to buy a BKB, probably. You can't purge off Halberd, can you?
You can.
Oh, can you?
Well,
okay.
no, purge or dispel with BKB. Because you can't. I don't think you can purge it with Diffuser Blade, but I know you can pop BKB to dispel it.
Yeah, so I'm asking about the purge, because if you could purge it off, you wouldn't need to buy a BKB. You could just, like, upgrade it.
I don't think so. Storm jumping in. Ice Blast gonna hit 2 here, but maybe, man. Oh boy. Couldn't get Aegis Immortal. Zedwave gonna pick that up, and Yao running in wants to continue fighting. Storm is brought back, so they're actually gonna try and take this. Yao nearly getting trapped in the Serpent Wards, and Zedwave drops. Aegis Immortal expended. He's gonna come back to life, but look at this. They're circling around him. Get the Vortex down. He's got no BKB. He's got nothing to sustain through the team fight, and he drops again. LGD with the cleanup crew now. Sylar chasing down in Flame. Does this just turn into a base push?
It might just. I mean, losing the Shadow Shaman and Storm Spirit having to buy back, but they killed Klinks twice, they killed Vengeful Spirits. I think the buyback was a very good call there, because the fight did get extended. And can Klinks... Yeah, Klinks can buy back, so they might just force the Klinks buyback. I think if he does buy back, there's a reasonable chance that LGD retreats.
Those Serpent Wards were so damn perfect, though. Like,
they might just retreat to the Crop ulti.
Sonic Wave gets hurled, and it's time to back up. RTK, is he looking for this? The mech's used, so hookshotting in here. Probably one of the ballsiest plays you could ever think of. Rocket Flare scouts them, he's not going for it. But back to the Serpent Wards. They were placed so perfectly. Like, literally Craigasm. The fact that the Dire were retreating, a couple of heroes got up onto the high ground. They had the Klinks here, Queen of Pain here, and then all of a sudden, LGD have this concave around the Klinks. There's no way for the Radiant supports to get into the fight because of Serpent Wards and Lycan and all of these minions running around. It was just this complete displacement. EHOME had one hero one place, another hero another place. There was no cohesion in tactics. There was no, okay, we're going to focus on this one hero. They got caught out completely by the Storm buying back and suddenly reappearing in the pit.
Yeah, and the only value they actually got after that buyback is, I don't know if you saw, but Lanham actually went around this way and picked off the Shadow Shaman with his Finger of Death, but it's hardly that helpful because the Shadow Shaman had already done his job in that fight. Oh, bot lane.
What do we see down here? They're going to find ZYF again. He's got his invis, but it's not going to matter when Ice Blast hits you. AA taking the last hit there, securing the kill, getting him that one step closer to Aghanims. In fact, he is pretty damn close. 1100 gold away, he's still got a Midas to use, so he's probably looking about 900 gold until he has that axe completed, and he's level 13. So he's got the level 2 Ice Blast.
It's really not what EHOME wants, for the hunted to become the hunted, for the Klinks to become the prey, and the Storm the killer. Really a role reversal, given how the game started off. And again, the Klinks has buyback, he's not going to want to use it. They'll get a tower for free here, and I suppose if they try and push high ground, we'll just see the same thing again with the Queen of Pain throwing out an ulti and maybe forcing them back. Although Xiao's got the Shadow Shaman, the Mass Servant wards, so maybe we see a tower forced.
Maybe we do. Now, what's interesting for me is that last game we saw gems picked up on both sides for the, counter warding initiative at 15, 16 minutes. This game, EHOME picks one up, relatively recently. There's one sitting on the Lion, but the Dire haven't gone for one. Even though they're against the Clinks, well, I guess it's because they're against the Clinks and the Queen of Pain hook shot. RTK's found one. Ice Blast is going to hit on him though, and Yao turns his back. TPing out, and there's nothing left to stop him. But yeah, because they're against the Clinks, I guess they don't want to get picked off and lose the gem and have it be meaningless. Okay, as I'm talking about it, they buy a gem. So they feel that they're in a position of power now, where they're not afraid of being just killed by the Clinks. So they buy gems, they can see him, they can start de-warding and taking map control back.
Yeah, so both teams with a gem, and if either one were to lose the gem at this point, it could be quite significant, because if one team knows the other team can't have a gem, they can just get vision everywhere and clear the other team's vision. Queen of Pain finishing off that Hex. Another very important item for potentially winning a fight for his team. Getting a well-timed Hex off on, even if you're just hexing the Bristleback or the Lycan to zone them, but ideally you want to hex the Storm Spirits or the supports to pick them off early.
LGD, where are you going? They're looking for Inflame. They're not going to get the instant initiation off though, and Queen of Pain. Did you actually see that? Like the smoke dispelled, but there's that little grey area where smoke dispels and there's no actual vision at nighttime. Storm jumps in. Inflame can't have seen the swap back from DDC, and they're going to find a kill on the support here. It doesn't look like too much else. Actually, with a 4 staffs and a Ghost Scepter, DDC manages to escape. Yao is now hexed up inside the cogs. The Sonic Wave takes away so much of his HP with a Finger of Death, sealing the deal. LGD have to back up. MMY TPing in a sneaky little spot. Not going to get stunned or stopped. And the chase is on. Sylar, BKB, and Shapeshift away. Time to run. Time to bail on this.
Yeah, and apparently Bristleback is quite easy to kill actually. You just hex him up, and he didn't even get to BKB or mech. He didn't use either.
That's a little bit rough for him. He does have buyback, but he'll be saving that up. Did he buy something? Where's his gold gone?
I guess he didn't have much. I mean, it hasn't been that long since he bought the sandwich, and we were talking about if he'd get a halberd or not.
Okay.
But I think the key in that fight is that LGD initiates and don't get the kill. And after they've committed so much, the Storm, a whole lot of his mana, his BKB, Shadow Shaman blinked in. If they're not making a kill, then it's always going to turn around on them. But it's a risk they wanted to take, because every time they've tried to force high ground so far, Queen of Pain just ulties and then they have to go back. And so they saw a chance to go on the Queen of Pain and thought, well, this is just perfect. I mean, if Queen of Pain dies without buyback, it's going to be super easy for them to push. She's the main thing stopping them from going high ground every single time.
Yeah. And then there was, swap back, Ghost Scepter, double 4 staff, Vengeful Spirit managing to make his way out. Or her way out. The beautiful Vengeful Spirit. Bot lane, Inflamed. Do you go for the Hex play here? No, just Sonic Wave the creep wave down. 40 seconds with that on cooldown isn't a big deal. If you're keeping the momentum in your favor, pushing back up to the tier 3 at bot. Now, LGD, they have the pressure on them. The onus is on them to try and break high ground. They're the ones with the sort of... They have less room for error. Like I was mentioning this in a team fight about 10 minutes ago or something like that. That especially in team fights, they have to make the perfect plays. They're the ones that have to have all the positioning. They are going to go for a kill on Lamb here. Gets swapped out again by DDC. Pops the Ghost Scepter. And they're going to try and make their route out. Xiao actually throwing down the Serpent Wards, but it gets ripped apart by ZYF on this Clinks. Oh man, look at the damage! The Skadi and the Diffusal Blade slowing, burning, killing. Yao on the run now, retreating as quickly as he can, but ZYF, he Diffusal Blades him up. The BKB's pop, but he's still getting slowed by the Skadi. A few more right clicks here from the Clinks will surely finish off the Bristleback, as chasing over on the left-hand side, Sylar running into the enemy base to find Inflame. Yep, Sonic Wave is hurled out, but the Queen of Pain still falls. The TP away.
Well, they do get the Queen of Pain kill, and that's the kill they wanted the most. But they got it under circumstances where it's not gonna become an objective. It's just maybe it becomes a Roshan. Cause he's coming up soon. Well, we don't know, but
it could be a long respawn.
It could be soon.
It could be, in 15 seconds or so that he instantly respawns, but you never know. What style has item progression been like? Vlad's Necro 3 are now looking for an AC. He's been stalled a little bit. You've said this before. In the first game, the Naga wants to be top of net worth. She wants to be 3 or 4,000 net worth ahead of her nearest competitor. It's similar to Lycan. You want to be split farming. You want to be taking control of one of the jungles at the very least, and controlling a couple of lanes maybe. Taking towers is your key objective, and they've done that for the majority of the game. But there's a tier 2 standing up at top.
He has at least overtaken the Queen of Pain now, and he's very close to finishing his Assault Cuirass. So that Cuirass plus maybe the next Roshan, if they kill the Quap again, I struggle to see EHOME defending. Especially if they kill the Quap in a situation where it's like building up to a push. Initiate on it right before they're about to go high ground. Because EHOME's defense just depends a lot on that Queen of Pain. In fact, just in general, look at this. We've basically got a 3-core strategy against a 2-core strategy. Clockwork at this stage in the game, it's his effect on a fight is about as much as a very useful support. I would say it's like 2.5 to 3 supports on the EHOME side, with the Queen of Pain and Clinks doing the real heavy lifting against the Lycan, Storm, and Bristleback, who are all three, fully equipped, like serious cores to contend with. And often when we see this kind of 3v2 core situation, what we see is that the team with 2 cores take an advantage early on, but if they don't do enough with it, then the team with 3 cores are going to go ahead, I think, the later the game goes.
Yeah, it's nice just looking at the metrics, because Last Hits Denies gives you a super clear indicator of who has farming priority. So you see the Quap and the Clinks, obviously, over on EHOME, and then Lycan, Storm, Bristleback on LGD. The Clockwork is, a little bit far behind, but take a look at where the Shadow Shaman is, last hit-wise. Net worth kind of does indicate this, the fact that he's sitting on 6.7k, but the AA has overtaken him. The AA hasn't had farm priority for, the majority of the game. Now he's got Midas and Aghanims. It's been all about getting that Midas and then finding kills in team fights. He's 4, 4, and 8, so he's done very well for himself, but he hasn't been top farm priority for like at any period in the game, really. Maybe for a couple of minutes to finish off the Midas, but after that, it's been all about the other 3 heroes.
Yeah, and both teams fully aware that Roshan could be up now, so a lot of rockets being sent there by the Radiant side, a Wolf there from the Dire side. It's going to be the next sort of important point, the next flashpoint in this match. And by the way, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Clockwork isn't a core, I'm just saying he's not a sort of super scaling core.
Yeah.
In the sense that there's 3 of those on the other side. So he's got his Aghanims and Force Staff and Blade Mail, and he could definitely make a big difference. I just think that the later the game goes, the less his difference is equivalent to, say, Bristleback or Storm Spirits or Lycanthrope.
Clockwork is, like, his main role is distraction. He can initiate, sure, he can be annoying in team fights and do some damage with Blade Mail and Battery Assault. Oh, ZYF caught out. Ice Blast as well. Yep, they're going to bring him down. With their Hex duration long enough, Shackle's even thrown there, and EHOME were planning on jumping in.
He doesn't have buyback. He's got no buyback.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I said they needed Queen of Pain, but Clinks is good enough, I think. This has got to be Rax's.
EHOME were getting ready to try and counter-initiate there. They were just 3 or 4 seconds too slow. They didn't think the Clinks would die that fast, but he didn't even get a chance to pop his BKB. Hex, Ice Blast, Shackles, lockdown before he could get the magic community off.
Will Queen of Pain's ulti be enough to slow them down this time?
Not
It's going to kill all the creeps.
Well, if they catch him out, Inflame gets jumped on the Vortex, but swap back from DDC. Hook shot, RTK hooking actually onto his own teammate there. Sonic Wave, wow, that's pretty damn good. Catching 4 of them. The mech does mitigate some of that. RTK now gonna drop though. The Clockwork falls. DDC trying to bail out, but Rax are falling mid. Do they go for more? Do they go for bot Rax? They back up.
They go for Rush. They go for Rush now, I think.
Okay.
But the Quap hit a nice ulti, but at the stage she hit it, it's a lot less relevant. Because she wants to be clearing the creep wave before they go high ground. So they're going high ground into fog and without creeps, and maybe even they don't have. Maybe even the tower has the backdoor regen if that happens. But the fact that maybe just the guy called maybe charges, like goes with the Storm Spirit onto the Queen of Pain before she gets that chance to clear the wave, really giving LGD a favorable position. And then even when she does use her ulti, so what? We've got a mech. You don't have Clinks. We know you can't fight us. We're gonna get Raxus. We're gonna get Roshan, and LGD now absolutely in the driving seat. Wow, look at that net worth graph.
I know.
Look at those spikes.
I wanted to bring this up, and you did it before. You've ruined my fun. No, I've had it out for the past 20 seconds or so, and I've been sitting here staring at it thinking, that is really interesting, actually. EHOME, you know, slowly progressing, getting that lead over time. Throughout the laning, that is the laning phase. From 0 to 21 minutes, you know, laning, taking towers, slowly progressing, getting towards the base and finding these kills and winning team fights. And then you see LGD taking Roche, winning the couple of team fights around the Roche pit, and I think it really is central for LGD around Roshan. Whether they're killing it, whether they're stopping it, whether they're fighting around it to try and deter EHOME from, you know, going in there and messing things up for them. Then EHOME come back with a couple of big kills, a couple of big team fights with their pick-off potential. And then LGD straight back into the driving seat, like you said. Storm jumping onto Inflame. Is Quap going to die here again? She managed to get the Sonic Wave down, but only onto 2. Sylar and Yao take a chunk of HP loss. But it's going to be another set of racks. There's no more Glyph, Serpent Water dropped, and Lycan, this is where he excels.
Another set of racks. They won't be able to go for Megas because they're still tier 2 on the other
3-man hook shot! Cogs on all of them. RTK with a play, but there's no follow-up to continue on.
Yeah. He's just done that to say, look, I can do this whenever I want.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
It's basically, I'm capable of screwing up your guys' game, but I've chosen not to for 40 minutes or so. Oh, Clinks. Oh.
Clinks actually went and got a tier 3 and died for it. So not being worth it in the end, but sneaky move there. The creep's pushing far, Clinks goes and joins them and doesn't get a Rax though. So definitely not worth dying for, I think.
So in fact that hookshot was more likely than not to stop TP's back. I didn't even see the Clinks up there. Good call.
Yeah, I also didn't see it at that stage. Saw it afterwards and
I wonder what that means. See, in my mind I just wanna think of it as saying cheeky. Like Clinks is a bit cheeky. Oh.
It does sound a bit like that, but who knows?
Wait, Lamb died in his base. I guess the Ice Blast.
Maybe that's what they were talking about. Maybe it was like, please don't kill me.
Mercy!
Like,
Mercy! I bet it means something like that. Chi.
Yeah,
Carla.
I mean, Lam and MMY are old friends. They played in a team together, and they've been sort of having a little banter in both of these games.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's all fun.
Well, top tier 2 finally going to fall here. You know, this was a tower that's been standing for 45 minutes, 46 minutes against a Lycan, against a Shadow Shaman with Serpent Wards. And Zhao 8 hasn't really played that classic Chinese roster. He hasn't been hiding in the trees, he hasn't been split pushing, he has been team fighting incessantly. And it's been really refreshing to watch. Hookshot goes in from RTK, catches the range creep of all things. CDC swaps back to Queen of Pain, but Inflame's hexed up. And now ZYF just battling it out, standing his ground, fighting up against the Lycan, but that's not a man fight you can win. As pretty much all of EHOME are dead and GG's called. 1-1 is the final score here. 1 win apiece in the D2CL Chinese group stages.
And I think it's very fitting that maybe was such an important part on this. In all those last fights, rolling onto the Queen of Pain to disrupt her at the start of the fight, because he had such a difficult start to the game, and I really want to say that he did really well to come back into the game. Going to the jungle, recovering there, making a kill, after having died twice to a Queen of Pain in mid lane. I think excellent play from maybe in this game, and well done to his team as well, and that'll be a 1-1.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, their overall game plan was a lot stronger here with the Lycan, because the Lycan could join team fights and actually make an impact. As well as split pushing, whereas in game 1 it felt very one-dimensional. This is LGD showing that they can play Dota. They know how to pull off the moves. But EHOME, you know, getting a win here as well. Very good for them. The game 1 was a lot more one-sided. This one a little bit back and forth, but in the end, 1 win apiece. Thanks for watching, everyone. Game number 2 will be coming up shortly between Newbie and Hyper Glory team in about 15 minutes, I believe. So at 11:30 CET, we'll be having that game. Scant, are you sticking around, or have you got to go and do some marking test papers and things like that?
I won't be able to stick around. Yeah, I have to head to the university sometime soon. So
okay, thanks for joining me.
Unfortunately, sorry. Yeah.
You can follow Scant on Twitter at Scansor. I've been Durka here in the Joint Dota Studios in Berlin. Durka Dota on Twitter and Facebook. Stay tuned. 15 minutes time until Newbie and HGT.